internet friends. Welcome to the... Oh, I am? Well,
Yeah,
it's probably for the best.
No.
Welcome to the Medicare Cafe pre-chat where Carrie and I log on just a few minutes early and just kind of talk about things that we have like going on this week and what the world's up to.
Yeah.
So I literally looked up at Carrie. I'm like, wait, what do you want to talk about the pre-chat? She's like, let me tell you about this weird situation with a client that enrolled herself and now she's crying about it.
So it was a referral from a financial advisor, and the advisor said, hey, one of our clients just reached out saying they attempted to enroll in Medicare themselves and now she's freaking out, was their words. Has all these questions. And so the client called me and she was like, I enrolled in, it was a UHC PPO, and she said, I checked my drugs, I checked my doctors, but they're asking for, she delayed her Part B because she had credible coverage, and so she's like, well, I'm getting all these questions about a late enrollment penalty, but Medicare is like, I can see online that it's in review status, like, why are they reviewing me? And are you sure, like, did I pick the right plan? Blah, blah, blah.
Did she say, like, why she tried to do it herself initially? Because she didn't know better, or did she...
She didn't know that anybody like me
you
was
existed.
out there. And so I'm talking to her, and I run her drugs and doctors, and, I mean, she's in the plan that I would have suggested. And so I told her that, and she was like, okay, well, like, are you my agent? And I'm like, I technically can't be unless we switched plans.
Yeah.
So I'm in this kind of like sucky situation.
So
since UHC doesn't do agent of record changes.
No. If you want my 2 cents, you're not asking for it, but I
am asking your opinion.
I cannot help myself. So I would do one of 2 things.
Okay.
Number 1, forever, like absolutely regardless of anything else, get a permission to contact and says, I'm going to call you October 1st, like, let's have an appointment, set an appointment now for AEP, saying, like, this is going to change, we'll look at everything.
Yep.
If you wanted to do something before then, say, listen, I would actually try to come at her with a hospital indemnity plan and be like, I know you did this on your own, but this is something that we can do together, because if she becomes your hospital indemnity client, then she's now your client. You can now call her, do whatever you want with the Medicare Advantage side of things. So I would still, like, she's reaching out to you. She's asking for help. I would get my foot in the door. And if she doesn't need or want a hospital indemnity plan, then, like, forget it. But, like, really show your value, being like, listen, this is what you have. I will let you say, like, I can't touch anything on your Medicare Advantage plan. We can't do that until October. But a lot of my clients on this plan also do this. So you may want to look into that. So kind of get your foot in the door there, and then either way get a permission to contact for October.
Okay.
But really set the stage of, like, this is what I do for my clients. Since I can't help you with this, I still want to help you with the other stuff.
Boom. See, I knew I should have brought this up. I'm going to get a new hospital indemnity client, guys.
Get it? But that's what my favorite part is, like, whenever it's off season, and it's kind of hard to believe, like, man, like, your AEP's coming up. It's still, like, a few months away. But, like, to me, I'm like, no, it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Because we're in
Feels
that
like
state of mind.
Yeah.
But it's something that, like, again, I really, really recommend doing, because agents all the time say, oh, they had a Medicare Advantage plan, I couldn't help them. It's like, well, what else do they have?
Right.
What else? And if she did that, just saying, like, being that person and being like, hey, I'm here to guide you. You did this, and, like, congratulations. You were very smart about your decisions. This is the plan I would have put you in. But other clients that I have that are in this are concerned about these. So if you're concerned about these, let's talk.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
I love it. It's golden.
Woo!
Yay! Problem solved.
Problem solved. Opportunity found. So welcome, everybody. I guess it is the top of the hour. So for those of you guys who are just getting logged on and watching us, first of all, welcome to the Medicare
2 things.
Cafe.
Why can I barely hear you?
We turned it. The sound should be better.
This show needs more explosions.
Brian, look who it's from. It's Brian.
It's Brian, but
Brian.
explosions.
We like explosions.
Yeah.
The sound quality should be better now. The microphone was actually facing the wrong way. So that explains why you could barely hear us. If you are still having audio issues, let me know.
Brian, is it gotten better?
And then
give us some feedback here.
The lack of explosions is, that's something we'll work on. That's really constructive feedback. We'll work on that. But today we are talking about certifications and basically, like, tips and tricks, how to get the most out of them. There's not a ton of, we do a lot of, Senior Marketing Specialist does a monthly webinar in which we talk about, like, tips and tricks on how to do the certifications. This is more just, like, business opportunities and just like ideas of like when you're doing certifications, what does this look like for you?
Yep.
Best ways, best practices for that. And Carrie, you actually kind of like ran the show on this. So I'm gonna lie first of all and say I'm gonna be quiet because we all know that's not true.
Brian says it's better. You don't be quiet. You run the show.
I do nothing. I sit here and click buttons and I listen to Carrie speak. So let's talk into.
Are we talking about taxes again today?
We are talking a little bit about taxes.
We are.
There is a slide.
Yes, I
our
forgot.
favorite subject. Yes. But number one, Carrie, hit us with some truths about your first tip. And these are 90% your tips. Your first tip about taking the certification.
Take your time. You know what? They do suck. Let's just be honest. They suck. And I feel like everybody wants to just run through them as fast as you can. But guys, like, I feel like you can, and maybe this is the nerd in me, but if you just take your time, like, I promise you're going to learn something from them.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to learn through it.
Just do you read them? Do you read the slides before the test? Be honest.
No. Okay, so no. Not
Okay.
like all of, I mean, that would be like, we would have to take off like a month of work. I feel like if you read
yeah.
all of the slides. But like if there's a little bit of area that you know that like you're deficient in, you know, get a little recap. Like just take your time and don't wait till the last minute.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Who do you like? Are you gathering from agents that they're on board?
Let me tell you guys right now, we have I think right now less than 10, like I think it's less than 13%, because 13 was last year. We're lower this year of people who are already certified, at least with United Healthcare, which is the big one that we can track.
Right.
So less than around 10% of our agents right now are certified with UHC, which
that seems really.
That's problematic because remember, if you want to pre-order supplies for United Healthcare, if you're not done by August 13th, you're not able to order supplies until October 1st.
Or if you wanted to do any events with them, like that boat has sailed. You had to have that done by like a week or two ago.
Yeah, for a lot of UHC, again, we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but UHC allows like the local marketing to be decided by the local market reps. And so a lot of local market reps said by July 6th, certifications had to be completed in order to do events with them. So again,
that's super early.
You know, I was just talking to, we were recording some panels for the sales summit, and was talking to a couple integrity partners, and they were talking a lot about how it's every single year, very last minute, everybody finds out about a new plan or a new drug, like a new drug plan that's going to scoop the market that you have to move your book of business to. So people are always frantically contracting and frantically doing their certifications last minute. You don't want to do that while you're also doing your staples like UHC, Humana, Aetna, Cigna.
I try to every year have an August 1st deadline. Like I try to have everything done by August 1st because my like AEP like client prep stuff really starts in August and September.
Well, so you're saying you operate like you're a business, not like you're a hobby.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then, of course, making sure you don't assume the questions are going to be the same as last year. That's a really good point. I am very guilty, like, when it comes to, like, doing certifications. Like, oh, yeah, I remember this, and blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, oh, no, none of this is the same. Especially this year with all the compliance changes.
Right. I was going to say, there were several, I feel like, compliance questions. The other thing on my AHIP, I kid you not, 50% of the questions were on PFFFs.
When was the last time...
Right? I was like, is this a joke? Like, is somebody... Like, I don't know why.
Name a county that you're going to write a PFFS.
Can't do it.
Name one. They're awful.
Can't do it.
Can anybody here... Let me ask, does anybody here currently still do a good amount of business with PFFS?
Yes.
I like saying
Please share. It's
private
hard
fee
to
for
say.
service.
It's hard to say.
PFFS.
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 Makes me think of the Princess Bride, ROUSS's. Nothing?
Can't relate. Princess Bride? Never even heard of it.
What? Oh my gosh.
I am an uncultured swine.
Someone speak to me that you have seen Princess Bride. It's a classic.
I don't know her. Tip number 2, make a certification to-do list. This is your type A tendencies.
I love my to-do list. You know what? I'm trying to think of when I made my cert to-do list.
Yeah.
Write them all down so you don't forget them, and write them in like the order of, at least I do, write them in the order of importance. You know,
Nerd.
You got to get the AHIP done, and then you do United Healthcare.
Who do you take your AHIP through? Because you can take your AHIP through carriers. Who do you?
I did United Healthcare.
That's kind of my.
I think I've done it through Aetna before.
It's easy. Aetna used to have the front runner program. They still do, to where if you write a certain amount of Aetna production, then they would pay for the AHIP completely. But Aetna hasn't been. Well, they haven't been really competitive here in a number of years. So interesting. I like it.
Lost my train of thought on that one. Easier to do than one might think.
The thing is, I would say is when it comes to to-do lists, like make sure you understand all the certifications that are required. Like we talked about, like UHC will add additional certifications.
Oh, yes.
They will add things like they had the events basics. They have a separate certifications for duals and chronic conditions. Yeah. So just make sure like you understand what carriers require. Aetna, a lot of them will require maybe not face to face. Essence is still face to face, but they'll require additional like videos to watch and seminars that you have to go to in order to be considered ready to sell. So just make sure like you understand, make that to-do list. You understand like what is required for each carrier, because each carrier will do something different.
And then the more I'm with you, the more I realize I'm type A.
Yeah, you're very type A.
I have a certification like folder that after.
Is it laminated?
No, not like a actual on my desktop.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't print them out.
If you could laminate them, you would laminate them.
No, no. So that way, you've got them all in one nice folder.
I like it. No, that's actually something I do recommend. We'll kind of get into what I recommend, like what you do with those after the fact. But yeah, print them out. You know how many times we literally, our agent support team, we will get somebody that's like, oh, I did my certifications. Why am I not showing up on a ready to sell report? And then we'll go to the carrier websites and we're like, oh, everything's showing like you haven't done anything. They'll send us their certifications, and that's the only way that we can prove that, like, they send us, like, their sort of certificate.
Right.
And that, like, we have to prove, and they're like, oh, yeah, there is a glitch on the back end. But, like, we always, like, have to prove, like, no, they've done their certification. Here's the proof. Because, again, these websites aren't always the most reliable when it comes to functioning, unfortunately.
Well, and that's what, like, I looked at my 2021 folder from last year to make sure I'm doing all those again next year, so I'm not forgetting any, and then also, obviously, if there's any new ones.
The next tip we have for you is to make sure you transfer the AHIP. And what's so frustrating, again, about transferring the AHIP, again, if you take them, again, reminder, you can take the AHIP through carriers and typically get like a $50 discount, or some carriers, depending on your production, will pay for them completely. But what's so frustrating is that every carrier requires the transfer a little differently. Like with United Healthcare, like most carriers, a lot of them, if you're in the AHIP website, there's a little button that just says like transfer it. Some of them, like WellCare, United Healthcare, a couple other ones, it will not transfer that way. You have to go into their site and transfer it manually.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of...
I think even like WellCare requires you to actually send a copy of your certificate in order for the transfer to go through.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. They used to. I don't know if they still do.
And they, like, even though I took it through United Healthcare, like, you still have to, after the fact, transfer it through United Healthcare. And I don't remember, thanks, Brian, the more you're with her, the crazier she seems. Team Care Bear.
Team Care Bear. Oh, you get a nickname. Everybody gets a nickname from Brian. So, yeah. Mine's O'Rizzle.
O'Rizzle.
So,
there you go.
Pretty special.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Care Bear's been my nickname since I was little, so.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're not original, Brian. Nice try.
My brother's always called me that.
Tip number 4 is something that, again, I'm going to preface this with, be careful of the state that you're in, but get those CE credits. A lot of people don't know that the AHIP can actually count for CE credits.
Absolutely. And I even, after my cert to-do list, I put on there,
of course.
Well, this is also my, like, continuing education when I try to renew and do some of that. Because if you already get those 2 CE credits, I think it was 2. I think it counts for 2 hours. Check with your state what AHIP will offer. But, I mean, you have to take the test anyways, guys. Right. Pay the $30 extra. Right. And get your certification or continuing education credits.
Just be careful of the state that you're in. I was working with an individual who was in Indiana. Okay. And so she was taking the AHIP, went ahead and took it for certs, and then at the end of it, they asked her for her moderator's signature. She's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So it actually, in some states, if you take the AHIP for extra credit, you actually have to have somebody there who is another licensed agent and sign that says that they watched you take the AHIP so that you didn't cheat, even though, like, it is an open book test. So just be careful of that. Look at that ahead of time. Some states require you to, again, have somebody and somebody else who has to have an NPN, but they have to be there to like sign off that you took the test correctly. And Stacy, good morning, Stacy. She says it costs additional moolah for the CE credits in AHIP. Yes? Yes. You said it's about like $30.
I remember. I think it was 30.
$30. So somewhere in that ballpark. But again, will look like different.
I think all continuing education has to, like, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Education.
Well, if you are a contracted agent with senior marketing specialist and you ask nicely, we do have CE credit vouchers to where we'll pay for whatever classes. If that class is 2 hours, 8 hours, whatever.
That's awesome.
But you have to ask really nicely and know the right people.
Okay.
Welcome to the right people.
Really nicely.
Welcome to the right people. So yeah, absolutely. The next tip that we're going to talk about is take note, and this is what I love. Take note of the hot topics of these certifications. And I know Stacy was actually on our new agent school yesterday talking about, yesterday we did a Medicare 101 of our Medicare Quick Start program. And nice. She was on there and she was talking about like, this is like the certifications. I actually learned a lot from this. And I know, Stacy, this is going to be your first AEP as an insurance agent in the senior market. But she was talking about just like there was a lot in those certifications. Exactly what you're saying. Take note of those hot topics.
Especially the first 1 or 2 that you do. Obviously, they're going to be pretty repeated as you do all 5, 10, however many carriers that you do. But something that I do, so I post on social media all the time. I make videos. I used to do, I think last year, I even like would type out some stuff just to mix up the content I was doing. But make note of some of those topics that are interesting or that you think your clients would be interesting and make a social media post about it. Try to utilize, the time you're spending on certs so that you're not...
Get the most out of it.
Yeah, get the most out of it.
You have to do it anyways, so you might as well use it to your benefit. And I think actually I talk about this on the next slide as well, which is just making sure that, and there's 2 tip 5s. 2 tip number 5s. Advertise your certifications, which is exactly that. Post the certifications in your office if you do have a physical location. And I always talked about, again, like I go back to whenever I was a personal trainer. And when I was a personal trainer and where I was and on my websites, my social medias, I would have pictures of my certifications that we would have to do. And I would say, like, if your personal trainer doesn't do this, then how can you trust them to stay up to date with what's going on? The industry's changing all the time. If they're not doing this, how do you, are they continuing to learn?
Yeah.
Because things are continuing to change. So again, like I know we work with an agent, Laura, out of, the Ozarks, and she was always just like a picture of her certifications from the Medicare Cafe group. And she just had walls of just like her most recent certifications. So it really does build that credibility, being like, look, I am certified to talk about this, and I do my research every single year because it changes every single year.
I have one of the financial advisors I work with. She was baffled that, we have to recertify every year. She just like couldn't figure it out. She was like, most, industries, take financial planning, for instance, you get your continuing education and that's it, but you don't have to like re-exam and recertify every year. And she loved that. She was like, I know that you are the most up-to-date for all of my clients and that you are getting licensed with all of them year after year. That was like so important to her.
And don't forget, too, that these carriers have a lot of weight behind their brand. There's a lot of things, a branded something from a carrier builds that credibility.
Yep.
So if you say, yes, I am certified with United Healthcare to discuss United Healthcare. I am certified with Cigna, with Aetna to talk about these plans. Again, just to show that, like, this is the depth of my knowledge and I'm certified specifically to this. So, like, if I don't recommend this plan for you, it's not because I don't understand it.
Right.
It's because it's truly not the right plan for you.
Yeah, exactly. Stacy says insurance industry requires more annually than the CPA industry.
That's crazy to me.
Crazy.
That is insane. Now, I do know, I will say as well, every single year, certifications get lighter and lighter. The AHIP knocks out more and more. More carriers are saying, well, you don't have to do face-to-face. Well, you don't have to do this. You just have to click a button. There's less and less. Certifications, especially whenever I first started. When I first started, it was you typically had to have a moderator over your entire certification process. So it is getting easier and easier and lighter and lighter, but the problem is that there's more and more carriers. So I'm not going to like try to make light of it. It sucks, but the industry is trending that we're having to worry less about certifications than we used to before.
So now I just thought about this. I remember on United Healthcare's website, it was like, if you're taking AHIP, do this.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an option to not take AHIP?
A lot of carriers, including SilverScript through their PDP program with Aetna's PDP, Aetna in general, and United Healthcare do not require the AHIP. But if you take the AHIP, it'll knock out a majority of the tests.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you're going to be in an area where you're not going to write Humana, you're not going to write Cigna, you're not going to write Essence or any other carrier like that, Anthem, then, like, you technically don't have to take out the AHIP. But I would still recommend doing it, A, for the CE credits, and B, because it does, like, save you a ton of time.
Absolutely. Monica says, how do I get AHIP certification with $50 off from UHC?
Yeah, Monica, all you have to do is make sure, again, you are contracted with United Healthcare. When you log into United Healthcare, into their, into Lean, to be able to do Jarvis, you log into Jarvis to be able to do those certifications.
Jarvis and then Learning Lab.
Yes, go to the Learning Lab.
Yep.
It'll just basically, there are different sections on there that basically say, like, do you want to take the AHIP through United Healthcare? You go in and access it that way. Do not start any other certification with United Healthcare. Because when you start a certification with United Healthcare, it locks the option to take the AHIP. So go directly to the AHIP portion, and it'll automatically include that $50 off. So I believe the AHIP this year is $175. So if you take it through United Healthcare or Aetna or Humana, then you would only have to pay $125.
With UHC, like, just visually, it's the second option is to take it through AHIP.
Yes. So do that.
Yep. Good question.
Yes. There's also another style of test if you're familiar with the National Association of Health Underwriters.
I did see that.
Yeah, they have their own kind of AHIP replacement.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a huge fan of NAHU because they do so much for our industry with the legislation and the lobbyists that they have in DC and state locally as well. But I don't recommend doing theirs yet because not a lot of carriers accept it. So they're getting there, but it's not quite where it needs to be.
It caught my eye because it was like 8 continuing education credits.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my goodness, sign me up for that one.
Yeah.
But then I was like, let's just do AHIP.
Yeah.
I don't know about that just yet.
Well, NAHU is just like really well known. Like that's kind of their thing. It's like attend a meeting, get CE credits. Oftentimes for free. So if you want to do for the CE credits, I think it's worth it. But like as far as trying to knock out your certifications, it's not there yet. So let's talk about, again, this tip number 6.
Tip number 6. Is this the first number 6?
This is only one. There's only one number 6 that we're tipping on. And that is check all carrier pages and passwords beforehand.
Yes.
And again, because like I will tell you this, our agent resources team who helps and assists with certifications, the number one thing that they spend their time doing is resetting passwords.
Seriously. It takes so much longer than you think.
It does. And it's frustrating because it's just like, well, what email address is this going to? Is it going to be going as spam? Like, what email did I use to set this up with? Like, it is very frustrating.
And just your bookmarks. Like, even if, like, it hasn't changed, I, like, sometimes get paranoid, like, about my bookmarks. And I will, like, just delete them and make sure the like new AHIP one I'm taking, that's the new,
it's actually
or the
really
certification,
smart.
Not AHIP.
Well, I'll tell you, and again, we actually have Senior Marketing Specialist has our AEP toolkit where we have every carrier certification link, every carrier sneak peeks. We have anything that you need for a carrier to write in 2023 is in one spot, including their how to check business, how to do business, and their certifications. And oftentimes the certification links are not the same links as like the rest of the portal. So you do have to make sure. So if you do, again, have those contracts through Senior Marketing Specialist, you can use our AEP toolkit and get directly there, no problems. But like, again, it's, you know, to say like especially WellCare has been a big one this year.
Yeah.
And people being like, I can't find where the certifications are. Well, they're not where you would think.
Not where you would think. I'm trying to think of which one took me a while. Was it Aetna? I went to the wrong page.
Always in the wrong page.
I always went to the wrong page. And I looked, I have 3 Aetna bookmarks, and I deleted all of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we're going to start fresh.
And that's so frustrating, but it does take time, again, to know your passwords, know your links, know where you're supposed to go. But I would also include this one. Make sure you understand those carriers' rules. A lot of carriers, again, do they accept the AHIP? Do they not accept the AHIP? How many times? Do you have 6 times that you can take them? Do they have 3 times? Like United Healthcare used to be you have 3 times. But you could start a test, exit out of it, you were completely fine. Now with United Healthcare, you get 6 times, but if you start a test and don't finish it, it counts as a trial. Yeah. So make sure you understand that. And again, understanding to the carriers, again, with like the United Healthcare, if you start any certification before you transfer the AHIP, you're not eligible to transfer the AHIP. So making sure that you're working with our team to know, like, hey, these are the carriers that I have. How can I, am I allowed to or am I able to download the slides?
Right.
Are those slides searchable? What are kind of some rules and special bells and whistles with these plans?
Something else I will say that I just thought of, because I know some people that have, like, saved, like, previous, like, review exams and do, like, a control F for, like, Mr. Lopez is, like, in the question or whatever the name is. A lot of times it might be the same name but a completely different question.
Sure.
So, like,
just be very careful.
I feel like that's testing 101. Like, read the whole question.
Read the question.
Don't get tripped up.
But I do still recommend saving those sample questions, because a lot of them are like the same content.
For
just
sure.
Like, it's not going to be C again. Reread the answers, reread the question, things like that.
Absolutely.
The last tip that we have on
Tip
here
number
is
7.
going to be Carrie's favorite.
Keep your tax spreadsheet up to date, guys. If your receipt from your $125 AHIP charge and the $30 continuing education credit, if you do that, whatever it is, update your tax sheet as you're doing it.
We talked about taxes a lot last week, and
We
I
did
learned
talk
so
about
much. I actually
taxes a
talked
lot.
about it like in my day-to-day conversation. Like, so listen, I know things
Yay!
about taxes.
Good for you.
No, but I think that's so incredibly important, is realizing that these fees are deductions. These fees are things that you need to make sure that your CPA is aware of.
And the other thing that I always do is try to, if you can, do your certs at night. Do them in the morning. Don't do it when you can be having one-on-one meetings with your clients, or as I call it, your money-making hours.
I think that's a really great point, because, if you have somebody that calls you and wants to set an appointment or has questions on their plan, you're taking the AHIP, those are timed.
Exactly.
You don't want to, like, not be able to service your clients because
Right.
you're doing these things, and just making sure, doing it at a time. Well, the hard part about that is, like, senior marketing specialist, October 1st, we open up from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard, but other times we're 8 to 5. And so, making sure that you have the walkthrough, making sure you know how to get there and that we can help you with that, but take the test at night so that you do have that time.
Just this morning, Glenn, when my husband, he left, he was like, you taking a test tonight? I was like, yeah, I've got a couple more to finish.
I got more tests to take.
Like, he just knows.
Is it kind of like, do you guys play around like, oh, I'm still in college and I'm taking these tests and I'm a young college girl?
No, he's like, okay,
did I make it
okay,
weird?
sweet. The other night he went to a movie. He literally, after our girls went to bed, he was like, I'm going to go see Top Gun. I was like, okay, I'm taking a test, so have fun. I won't go to a movie by myself.
I have a lot of anxiety behind eating by myself and going to a movie by myself.
Me too.
I've been to a movie by myself once, and I was a child and watched Emperor's New Groove. And I was a child. I was like 7, or I had to be 7 or 8.
Goodness.
And my mom put me into the theater because she wanted to meet the Parents. She wanted to watch Meet the Parents with her and my dad. So they watched Meet the Parents. I watched Emperor's New Groove. Little known fact about me. DFS didn't show up or anything. We were fine.
That's good.
We were fine. So again, guys, making sure those are our tips for making sure you make the absolute most out of your certifications. Again, they are a necessary evil.
Get it done. Set a deadline for yourself.
And that's so true. Remember, guys, so Clayton and Ben, if you guys are familiar with the Medicare Cafe closed agent group on Facebook, Clayton and Ben have been doing a lot of stuff in there, posting a lot of content from our office, and they right now are doing a giveaway to where for every single certification that you post, in that there's a comment thread, Senior Marketing Specialist has this really cool, it's like a backpack cooler and a lot of Medicare Cafe swag that they're going to do a drawing. And so for every certification you complete and post a picture of, you will be entered in that drawing. Again, make sure you get that done. That ends July, not December. That would be silly. That ends July 31st. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. July 31st.
July 31st. Yes, Brian. I agree.
I did. And I knew what I was doing, Brian, and I just kept going with it. I was like, this is going to get weird, and I just kept going with it. So make sure that. Also, guys, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little plug here. Make sure you join Senior Marketing Specialist for our 10th annual National Senior Sales Summit coming August 17th. That is live now. So you are able to go ahead and register for that. You can just go to our website, smsteam.net, and register for it.
That's like 3 weeks away.
It is 3 weeks away.
3 weeks
and
away.
it is completely free. It is a one-day event this time. Going to be stock full of over 12 breakout sessions that you'll be able to watch, as well as some main stage topics. Going to hear things like hearing from agents like you about how to have the best AEP, hearing from our integrity partners to figure out how to do the best to retain your status. Medicare Cafe is doing a breakout session as well, so make sure you sign up for that. All of that content will be absolutely free, but you do have to register for it.
Calendar event says it's 3 hours only.
Yeah, Chrissy, and that's because the main stage is going to be that morning, and the main stage event is going to be 3 hours. But everything after that, everything in the afternoon, your breakout sessions are going to be on demand. So you'll have access to those for at least 90 days once they've been posted.
That's nice.
But the main stage portion is 3 hours. So
sign up, guys.
On that note, guys, any questions, comments, concerns, threats, or promises, please put them in the questionnaire box. Or, of course, as always, you can text us. That's our text line right there.
That's our text line.
Here's our text line. So feel free to interact and comment with us. But again, really excited that we can talk today. Again, certifications suck, but they do. Make the most out of it, guys. Yep. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with this client that's like, I did it all by myself, but I'm panicking and now I want you to help? When was her effective date?
It's not effective until October 1st.
Weird. So she's turned 65 October?
Disability. So she's on disability, and her husband is retiring, and so she's losing coverage. And
hospital indemnity will probably be difficult then.
She literally was like, "Is there another plan that you can move me to so you can be my agent?" So I mean, she's like that stressed about it.
Yeah. And she's on disability, and she doesn't want to mess up.
And she just keeps emailing me also. I'm like, we need to just have a phone conversation and meet in person.
Yeah. Because, I would think, if you were, and again, I don't know her finances. Disability typically means, maybe potentially has lower income. She doesn't want to mess up, being that she's high utilization.
That's what I've asked her. I was like, there are other options here. I'd like to meet in person to go over everything. Medicare Advantage isn't the only option out there. And so, hoping she will take me.
I want an update on this. I want an update, a weekly update until it's been resolved. Okay. I need a report on my desk.
Okay. I'll have it.
Okay. Awesome, guys. We appreciate you all hanging out with us again. Make sure you join us next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, where Carrie and I just called you Rachel. Where Carrie and I get together, drink Java, and talk shop. Thank you guys so much. So until next time, have fun,
make money,
and give impeccable service. Thanks, guys.